Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions with your faith? Well, it turns out that is not a modern problem. Nope. About 2,500 years ago, a community asked a pretty simple question about their religious traditions. And the answer they got? Wow. It reveals a powerful truth about what God is really after.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the historical question they asked, then look at God's unexpected pivot. From there, we'll uncover what he truly desires, see this amazing promise to turn sorrow into joy, and finally, we'll figure out what this ancient story means for our own lives right now. Okay, let's paint a picture here. The people of Israel are in this moment of huge change. After being in exile for decades, they're finally back home, and they're actually rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem. It's a hopeful time. And with all this new hope, they start to question some of their old habits. So for 70 long years, while they were in exile, they had started these yearly fasts to mourn the destruction of their city and their temple. It was this deep, ingrained ritual of grief. But now things are looking up. The temple is going up again. You can feel the hope in the air. And it's this new feeling that leads a group from a town called Bethel to go ask the priests and prophets a very practical question. They're basically asking, hey, with all this good stuff happening, do we really need to keep doing these sad rituals? We've been at this for so many years. Can we stop now? I mean, it seems like a perfectly reasonable question, right? But the answer they get is not at all what they were expecting. So instead of a simple yes or no, God, through the prophet Zechariah, just completely redirects the conversation. He doesn't even answer their question about the act of fasting. Instead, he goes way deeper and challenges the motive behind it all. And this right here, this is the pivot point. God asks them a question that cuts right to the heart of everything. All those 70 years you were fasting and mourning, who was that really for? Was it for me, or was it all about you? He's digging past the external stuff to get to what's really going on inside. Now, what's so fascinating here is that God calls them out on both ends of the spectrum. He says their fasting was basically just an exercise in self-pity. And get this, even their feasting, their celebrations, were just about self-indulgence. He's pointing out that whether they were in mourning mode or party mode, the focus was always on them. Their entire religion had become self-centered. So if God isn't interested in their self-serving rituals, then what does he actually want? To answer this, he takes them on a little trip down memory lane to remind them exactly why they ended up in exile in the first place. He points to their ancestors, who had this pattern of, well, active resistance. They didn't just forget God's commands. They stubbornly turned their backs and literally plugged their ears. Their hearts became as hard as flint, just completely rejecting what God was trying to tell them through the prophets. And what were those words they ignored? It wasn't a list of religious duties. It was a call to a transformed life. This was God's real checklist. True justice, mercy, compassion, protecting the most vulnerable people in society, and not scheming against each other. And this is the whole point. For God, the true measure of your faith isn't found in your private rituals, but in how you treat other people out in the open. And here's the powerful irony of it all. Just think about it. The 70 years of grief they were ritualizing with their fasts, that was the direct result of their ancestors ignoring what God actually wanted. They created the very problem they were mourning, and now they're asking for permission to stop the sad ritual?
So, after this long and really important detour into their motives and past failures, God finally circles back to their original question. Okay, should they keep fasting?
And the answer is just, it's breathtaking. It's not about keeping or canceling an appointment on their calendar. It's a promise to completely rewrite their entire story of sorrow.
And here it is. God declares that the very fast that marked their deepest moments of national tragedy, the anniversaries of their destruction, are going to be transformed into joyful festivals. The very symbols of their pain will become the reasons for their parties. And just look at this incredible reversal. The fast for when the city walls were breached, that's going to be replaced by a future of total security. The fast for the burned temple, that will be replaced by the reality of God's presence living with them. The memory of their assassinated governor will be overshadowed by a future of true peace. Every single tragic memory is redeemed with a promise of restoration. It's amazing. Okay, so why does any of this matter to us, thousands of years later? Because the core message is absolutely timeless. It's a call to move beyond empty religion and step into a vibrant, living, breathing faith. So how do we actually apply this?
Well, first, we have to look in the mirror and examine our own motives. Are my spiritual practices about a genuine connection with God, or are they just about me? Second, we're called to live that faith out in real, tangible ways by prioritizing justice and compassion for the people around us. And third, we have to trust that a truly changed heart will naturally overflow and be a blessing to the whole community. When you boil it all down, this is the main takeaway. God is always, always more interested in the reality of our hearts and the integrity of our lives than he is in how perfectly we perform our religious routines. And so the question this ancient text leaves us wrestling with today is a really powerful one. Is my faith just a series of routines that I perform, something I just check off a list? Or is it a living, breathing reality that fundamentally transforms how I see the world and treat every single person in it?